The U.S. Defiant drifted silently through the darkness of space, her metal hull bearing the marks of 75 years of faithful service. Like an old soldier standing guard, she patrolled the outer edges of human space, where the bright stars of Earth's territory faded into the unknown. Captain James Miller stood on the bridge, his weathered hands resting on the steel railing, as he gazed out at the sea of stars. The bridge itself was a stark contrast to modern ships. No holographic displays, no neural interfaces, just reliable physical switches, sturdy buttons, and old-fashioned screen displays that cast a soft green glow across the command center. "Status report," Miller called out, his voice carrying the weight of 30 years of command experience. "All systems normal, Captain," replied Tom from his station at engineering. His fingers moved across actual physical keyboards, the clicking sounds mixing with the gentle hum of the ship's engines. The old girl's running as smooth as ever. Miller smiled. Modern captains might laugh at their outdated systems, but he took pride in commanding one of the last analog warships in the fleet. While newer vessels boasted quantum computers and AI-assisted everything, the Defiant relied on proven technology that had served humanity well for decades. The ship's mess hall still used actual metal trays. The engine room had gauges you could read with your eyes and adjust with your hands. Even the weapons systems used physical triggers and manual targeting computers, technology that newer officers often dismissed as museum pieces. "Sir," called out Bill from the radar station, picking up some unusual readings in Sector 7. He adjusted a dial on his console, the needle jumping slightly. "Might be worth checking out." Miller nodded. "Helm, adjust course to Sector 7. Standard patrol speed." The helmsman, Robert, pulled back on the manual control stick, another ancient feature of the ship. The Defiant responded immediately, her conventional engines pushing her through space with reliable thrust. No fancy gravity drives or space-folding technology here, just good old Newton's laws at work. As they moved toward the signal, Miller thought back to the day he'd received this command. The admirals had almost apologized, offering him newer ships instead. But Miller had seen something in the Defiant that others missed. In a world of increasing technological dependence, there was value in systems simple enough to fix with a wrench. The crew shared his appreciation. They'd learned to love the ship's quirks, the way the cafeteria dispenser only worked if you pressed the buttons in a certain rhythm, how the backup generators kicked in with a deep rumble you could feel in your bones, and the satisfaction of manually plotting jump coordinates on paper charts. "Engineering, how are the engines holding up?" Miller asked, maintaining his regular checks. "Running at 94% efficiency, Captain," Tom replied proudly. "Just finished the morning maintenance routine. These old fusion drives might not be fancy, but they're reliable as sunrise." The Defiant continued her patrol, her hull creaking slightly as she moved. Modern ships were silent, their advanced materials absorbing all sound. But the Defiant spoke to her crew, every groan and rumble telling a story to those who knew how to listen. "Coming up on Sector 7, sir," Robert announced from the helm. Miller straightened his uniform, still made of actual fabric, not the smart materials used in modern suits. "Maintain current speed. Let's see what we're dealing with." The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, each person knowing their role perfectly. No AI assistants, no neural networks, just well-trained humans doing their jobs. The radar continued its steady sweep, its display showing empty space in simple green lines. As they approached the sector boundary, Miller felt the familiar pride in his ship and crew. The Defiant might be considered outdated by fleet standards, but she was far from obsolete. She was a reminder of an age when humans built things to last, when mechanical reliability mattered more than technological sophistication. Little did they know, this routine patrol would soon prove just how valuable that reliability could be. The radar screen on the U.S. Defiant lit up like a Christmas tree. What had started as a small blip turned into dozens, then hundreds of signals. The green dots filled the simple display, making the old machine whir with increased activity. Captain, Bill called from his radar station, adjusting dials to make sense of the readings. Multiple ships just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Biggest fleet I've ever seen, sir. Captain Miller moved quickly to the radar station, his eyes narrowing at the display. The old screen showed more than 50 large vessels surrounding them, each one bigger than the Defiant. Their formation was perfect, too perfect to be human. Battle stations, Miller ordered calmly. Red lights began flashing throughout the ship, accompanied by the deep sound of the alarm bell, an actual metal bell that rang through the corridors. The crew moved with practiced speed to their positions. The main screen crackled to life, showing a creature that looked almost like a tall human, but with gray skin and eyes that glowed like purple diamonds. Behind it stood a command center that gleamed with holographic displays and floating screens. Primitive vessel. The alien spoke in perfect English, though its mouth moved strangely with the words. I am Commander Rex of the Stellar Dominion. Your outdated ship has wandered into our expansion zone. Submit to our authority or be destroyed. Miller stood straight, his hands clasped behind his back. This is Captain James Miller of the Earth ship U.S. Defiant. You've entered human space. We request you withdraw your fleet immediately. A sound like laughter came from Commander Rex. Human space. Your species barely understands proper space travel. Look at your vessel. It belongs in a museum. Our smallest scout ship has more computing power than your entire fleet. The bridge crew of the Defiant exchanged glances. They were used to being mocked for their old ship, but this felt different. Dangerous. Sir, Tom called from engineering. I'm detecting energy readings off the scale. Their weapons are like nothing we've seen before. Miller nodded. All hands, prepare for combat. Load all missile tubes. Bring up the manual targeting systems. He turned back to the screen. Commander Rex, this is your final warning. Withdraw your fleet. The alien commander's purple eyes flashed with amusement. Your confidence is entertaining, human. Your weapons are primitive projectiles. Our shields were designed to stop energy weapons thousands of times more powerful than anything you possess. As Rex spoke, more data poured in from the Defiant's simple sensors. The alien ships were surrounding them in a sphere formation, their hulls gleaming with what looked like liquid metal. Each ship bristled with weapons that glowed with strange energy. They're powering up something big, Captain, Bill reported, his hands moving across his console. Some kind of computer signal heading our way. Shut down all wireless systems, Miller ordered. Switch everything to manual control, just like we practiced. The crew worked quickly, flipping switches and turning keys. Modern ships would have taken minutes to switch to manual control, but the Defiant was built for it. Within seconds, every system was running on direct connections and mechanical controls. Rex's image flickered on the screen again. Your time is up, humans. We will demonstrate the power of true civilization. Prepare to witness real technology at work. The transmission cut off, and the space around the Defiant lit up as the alien fleet began their attack. Energy beams of various colors shot toward the old human ship, while invisible computer signals raced through space, meant to disable any modern vessel's systems. But the U.S. Defiant wasn't a modern vessel. As the alien attack began, Miller allowed himself a small smile. Sometimes, being outdated had its advantages. Helm, full power to engines, he ordered. Weapons, target the nearest ship. Let's show them what this museum piece can do. The old engines roared to life, and the Defiant began to move. The battle that would become legend was about to begin, and not a single computer virus or AI hack would stop this old warrior from doing her duty. The space around the U.S. Defiant erupted in chaos. Bright energy beams from the Stellar Dominion ships cut through the darkness, creating a deadly light show. But something unexpected happened, or rather, didn't happen. Sir, Tom called from engineering, trying to hide his grin. Their computer attacks aren't doing anything. Can't hack what isn't there. Captain Miller nodded, watching as the alien fleet's first attack passed harmlessly around them. The Defiant's old-fashioned systems, running on physical wires and mechanical switches, were completely immune to the sophisticated cyber warfare that would have crippled any modern ship. Their fancy computer virus just met a ship that doesn't speak its language, Miller said. Weapons. Do we have a solution? Yes, sir, replied Jack from the weapons station, looking through the mechanical targeting scope. Old-fashioned eyeballs and metal sights are working just fine. The Defiant's missile tubes opened like the maws of an ancient beast. Inside each one sat a simple rocket-powered projectile. No AI guidance, no quantum computing, just solid fuel and well-machined metal. Fire tubes 1 through 4, Miller ordered. The ship shook as 4 missiles launched into space. The alien fleet didn't even try to dodge. Their shields were designed to stop energy weapons, not solid objects. Commander Rex's face appeared on the screen, showing confusion for the first time. What primitive weapons are these? He demanded, watching as the missiles approach. Our scans show no energy signatures. They're just metal and explosives. The first missile struck an alien ship's shield and did something impossible. It went straight through. The shield was calibrated to stop energy weapons, but these simple missiles were like throwing rocks through a force field designed to stop lightning. Boom! The explosion rocked the alien vessel, tearing a hole in its beautiful hull. 3 more explosions followed as the other missiles found their marks. Impossible, Rex shouted, his purple eyes wide with shock. How are you penetrating our shields? Sir, Bill reported from radar. Their fleet is adjusting formation. Looks like they're not taking us lightly anymore. The alien ships began moving more aggressively, their energy weapons blazing. But the Defiant's thick metal hull, built to take hits without relying on energy shields, absorbed the impacts better than anyone expected. Damage report, Miller called out. Hull integrity at 85%, sir, Tom responded. These old plates might get dented, but they're holding. The armor's too simple to be affected by their fancy weapons. Miller smiled. The Defiant's armor was just layers of metal and ceramic, materials chosen because they could be repaired by hand if needed. No smart metal, no adaptive shielding, just solid engineering that had stood the test of time. Their weapons are designed to overwhelm modern shields, Miller explained to his crew. But we don't have any shields to overwhelm. Load all tubes. Target their engines. Another volley of missiles launched from the Defiant. This time, the alien ships tried to dodge, but they had forgotten something important. Old didn't mean slow. The Defiant's mechanical targeting systems, operated by human hands and eyes, tracked their movement perfectly. 6 more hits, Captain, Jack shouted excitedly. They're not used to dealing with manual targeting. Their electronic countermeasures are useless against our optical sights. The battle continued to unfold, with the massive alien fleet struggling to deal with this unexpected threat. Their advanced systems, designed to fight equally advanced enemies, were being thwarted by technology they considered obsolete. All hands, braced for evasive maneuvers, Miller ordered, gripping his railing. Without computer assistance, these turns would be rough. But the crew was used to it. The Defiant turned hard, her engines roaring, as more alien ships moved to surround her. But with each passing minute, more of Commander Rex's superior vessels were learning a hard lesson about underestimating old technology. Keep firing, Miller commanded. Show them what happens when they mistake experience for weakness. The old warship continued her dance through space, her outdated weapons leaving a trail of damaged alien vessels in her wake. The legend of the U.S. Defiant was just beginning to unfold. The U.S. Defiant spun through space, dodging another barrage of energy beams. Inside the bridge, the crew held tight to their stations as Captain Miller called out his next order. Cut all power. Everything dark, he commanded. The crew worked fast, pulling levers and turning keys. Within seconds, the old warship went completely dark. No engines, no lights, not even life support, just emergency oxygen and minimal gravity. Commander Rex's voice crackled over their emergency radio. Have we disabled their power? Has their primitive vessel finally failed? But Miller had learned this trick decades ago, back when he was a young officer. In space, a powered-down ship was nearly invisible. The alien fleet's advanced sensors, designed to detect energy signatures, suddenly couldn't find their target. They're firing blindly, sir, Bill whispered from his radar station, now running on backup power. Missing us completely. Miller counted slowly in his head. Wait for it. Wait. Now. All power back. Weapons, fire everything. The Defiant roared back to life like an awakening dragon. Her missile tubes, already loaded, fired simultaneously. 12 missiles streaked through space, each one finding its mark before the surprised alien fleet could react. Direct hits on 6 ships. Jack called out from weapons. Their fancy sensors never saw it coming. The alien fleet scattered in confusion. Their advanced combat computers couldn't predict such simple tactics. Playing dead in space was too primitive for their battle algorithms to consider. Sir, Tom shouted from engineering. They're trying something new. Some kind of energy pulse heading our way. The pulse hit the Defiant hard, making every electronic device flicker. But Miller had prepared for this too. Switch to analog backups, just like we drilled. The crew moved in practiced motion, pulling out physical backup controls from under their stations. The Defiant's most crucial systems, engines, weapons, life support, all had purely mechanical backups. No computers, no electronics, just gears, levers, and human hands. Captain, Bill reported, looking through an actual telescope instead of using sensors, 3 of their ships are moving to surround us. Big ones. Commander Rex's face appeared on their backup screen, his purple eyes now showing clear frustration. How? How is this obsolete vessel still fighting? Our technology is centuries ahead of yours. Maybe that's your problem, Miller replied calmly. You forgot the basics while chasing the future. He turned to his crew. Helm, set course directly at the largest ship. Full speed. The Defiant's engines, now running on mechanical controls, pushed the ship forward. The alien vessel, many times larger than the human ship, began to back away. They think we're going to ram them, Miller observed. Weapons, prepare a special surprise. Load the metal chaff. Jack grinned as he loaded the special ammunition, basically barrels full of metal scraps and ball bearings. Against modern ships with energy shields, such weapons would be useless. But against these aliens who relied purely on advanced shields designed for energy weapons, fire chaff spreaders, Miller ordered. The Defiant released clouds of metal debris in all directions. The alien ship shields did nothing to stop the simple metal pieces. Their beautiful hulls, made of advanced but delicate materials, were suddenly being peppered with thousands of tiny impacts. Their engines are stalling, Tom reported excitedly. All that debris is getting sucked into their propulsion systems. The massive alien ships, their hulls scratched and their engines clogged, began to drift helplessly. Their advanced technology had no answer for such a simple attack. Send another message to Commander Rex, Miller ordered. Tell him we got plenty more old tricks to show him. The battle wasn't over, but the tide had clearly turned. The mighty Stellar Dominion fleet, with all of its advanced technology, was being systematically taken apart by a single obsolete human vessel. Load all remaining tubes, Miller commanded. Let's finish this lesson in military history. The Defiant moved through the battlefield like an old prizefighter who knew every trick in the book. Sometimes, Miller thought, the old ways really were the best ways. Smoke filled the bridge of the U.S. Defiant as Captain Miller surveyed the battlefield through the main viewport. Around them, the mighty Stellar Dominion fleet was in chaos. Several of their beautiful ships now drifted powerless, their hulls scarred by simple metal projectiles and mechanical weapons. Status report, Miller called out, wiping sweat from his forehead. Hull integrity at 60%, sir, Tom responded from engineering. We're banged up, but the old girl's still fighting. already sealed 3 holes with emergency patches and good old-fashioned welding. Commander Rex's image appeared again on their screen, but this time his confident smile was gone. Behind him, alerts flashed across his holographic displays, and crew members rushed around in panic. "This is impossible," Rex shouted, his purple eyes glowing with rage. "Our ships are networked with quantum computers. Our weapons are powered by dark matter. How is this happening?" Miller allowed himself a small smile. "That's your weakness, Commander. Your ships are all connected, sharing the same computer network. But tell me, what happens to a network when part of it fails?" As if answering his question, 3 more alien ships suddenly lost power. The metal chaff from the Defiant's earlier attack had spread through their formation, getting sucked into engine intakes and jamming delicate mechanisms. "Sir," Bill called from radar, "their ships are starting to crash into each other. Their networked navigation is failing." Through the viewport, they watched as the alien vessels, unable to coordinate properly, struggled to maintain formation. Some ships fired weapons randomly, their targeting systems corrupted by cascading system failures. "Load the dummy missiles," Miller ordered. Jack quickly loaded the special weapons, missiles filled with nothing but radio transmitters broadcasting random signals. As they launched toward the alien fleet, the effect was immediate. "Their communication network is going crazy," Tom reported. "The radio noise is overwhelming their quantum links." The alien ships, which had fought as one unified fleet, were now acting individually. Some tried to retreat while others pressed the attack, creating even more chaos in their formation. "Captain," Jack called out, "I found their flagship's weak spot. Their engine cooling system is exposed where our last hit damaged their hull." Miller nodded. "Load the tungsten rods." The Defiant's last special weapon was simply solid metal rods. No explosives, no fancy guidance systems, just heavy pieces of tungsten that would hit with tremendous force at high speed. "Fire." The rods launched silently through space. The alien flagship's shields, designed to stop energy weapons, did nothing against the simple projectiles. They struck the exposed cooling system, and the effect was catastrophic. Commander Rex's image flickered as his ship's power began to fail. "How? How did you know?" "Basic engineering," Miller replied. "Engines need cooling. Cooling means heat radiation. Heat radiation means vulnerability. Some things never change, no matter how advanced you are." The alien flagship's engines started to overload, forcing it to shut down all its sophisticated weapons and shields to prevent a catastrophic explosion. "Sir," Bill reported with excitement, "the alien fleet, they're retreating. The remaining ships are running away." Through the viewport, they watched as the surviving alien vessels, their formation shattered, and their networks in chaos, began jumping away into faster-than-light travel. The bridge crew of the Defiant cheered, though they kept at their stations. Years of discipline didn't fade even in victory. "Send to Commander Rex," Miller ordered. Message reads, "Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. Surrender now, and we'll help repair your ships." The response came quickly. The alien flagship, powerless but intact, had no choice. Commander Rex's final transmission showed a changed being, his previous arrogance replaced with grudging respect. We surrender," Rex said quietly. "Never in our history has any force. You humans are full of surprises." Miller looked around his bridge, at the analog dials, mechanical switches, and simple displays that had helped them achieve the impossible. "Tom," he called to engineering, "start preparations for repair work. Let's show them another old human tradition, helping your defeated enemies back to their feet." The battle was over. The legend of how an outdated human warship defeated an alien fleet was about to begin. The space around the U.S. Defiant looked like a graveyard of advanced technology. Disabled alien ships floated silently, their once gleaming hulls now scared and darkened. Captain Miller stood at his command post, watching as his crew coordinated rescue operations using the ship's old but reliable equipment. "Repair teams report ready," "Sir," Tom announced from engineering. He held up an ancient radio handset. Simple technology that still worked perfectly while alien quantum communications lay silent. "Should we start with their flagship?" Miller nodded. "Launch the rescue pods. Manual controls only. Let's not risk any technological surprises." The Defiant's rescue pods, simple capsules powered by compressed air, pushed out into space. Inside each one, human crew members carried basic tools: wrenches, hammers, and mechanical diagnostic equipment that couldn't be hacked or disabled. Commander Rex stood in his flagship's docking bay, watching in disbelief as human engineers used hand tools to repair his advanced ship. His purple eyes widened as they bypassed complex systems with simple mechanical solutions. "I don't understand," Rex said to Miller, who had come aboard to oversee the operation. "Our ships have self-repairing nanosystems, AI-controlled maintenance units, yet your people are fixing them faster with pieces of metal." Miller picked up a wrench, feeling its familiar weight. Sometimes you don't need a supercomputer to tell you a pipe is leaking. Sometimes you just need to tighten a bolt. Around them, the human repair crews worked efficiently. They replaced damaged components with simple mechanical parts, restored power using basic electrical principles, and got systems running again without relying on advanced technology. "Sir," Jack called over the radio from the Defiant, "we've analyzed their weapon systems. Their entire fleet was vulnerable because everything was connected. One failure triggered a cascade effect through their network." Rex's face showed shame as he realized the truth. "We thought connecting everything would make us stronger. Share processing power, coordinate attacks, and give every ship the same weakness," Miller finished. "On the Defiant, if one system fails, the others keep working. Independent systems might be less efficient, but they're more reliable." The repair work continued throughout the day. Human crews, using equipment that would have looked at home in the previous century, gradually brought the alien ships back to life. But they did it their way. Installing mechanical backups, adding manual overrides, and ensuring each system could work independently. "Watch this," Tom said to a group of alien engineers, demonstrating how to bypass their quantum controls with simple switches. "If your main system fails, just flip these. Basic electricity. No AI required." The alien engineers took notes eagerly, many of them seeing the wisdom in having backup systems that any crew member could understand and repair. In the flagship's command center, Rex reviewed the battle footage with Miller. Each scene showed how the Defiant's primitive technology had turned the aliens' advantages against them. "Here," Miller pointed at a screen, "your ships couldn't target us because we weren't emitting complex energy signatures. Sometimes being invisible means being simple." "And here," Rex added, beginning to understand, "your projectile weapons. We haven't faced physical ammunition in so long, we forgot to defend against it." As the day wore on, more alien ships returned to operation, but they were changed. Each now carried a mix of their advanced technology and human mechanical backups. The best of both worlds. "Captain," Bill radioed from the Defiant, "long-range sensors show no more hostile ships in the area. Looks like the ones that ran away spread the word." Miller smiled. "Good. Commander Rex, I think it's time we had a serious discussion about peace negotiations." Rex looked around his partially rebuilt ship, then at the old warship that had humbled his fleet. "Yes, Captain Miller. I believe the Stellar Dominion has much to learn from Earth's outdated wisdom." As the human repair crews continued their work, both commanders knew that this day would change the way their civilizations thought about technology. Sometimes, moving forward meant remembering the lessons of the past. 1 month after the historic battle, the U.S. Defiant sat docked at Earth's main space station. Her hull, still bearing the scars of combat, gleamed under the station's lights. But unlike before, she wasn't alone. Beside her floated a Stellar Dominion vessel, its once pure advanced design now modified with visible mechanical backup systems. Captain Miller stood in the station's main conference room, facing a panel of Earth's highest-ranking military officers. Commander Rex stood beside him, no longer an enemy, but an ally eager to share what he had learned. "Gentlemen," Miller addressed the admirals, "I believe Commander Rex has something important to tell you about our outdated vessels." Rex stepped forward, his purple eyes showing humility that hadn't been there before. "The battle against the U.S. Defiant changed everything. We thought we knew about warfare and technology. We were wrong to think newer always meant better." The room's old-fashioned projector clicked as it showed images from the battle. No holograms, no fancy displays, just clear, simple pictures that everyone could see and understand. "Look here," Rex pointed to an image of his crippled fleet. "Our ships, with all their advanced technology, were defeated by simple metal projectiles and basic tactics. We had forgotten the fundamental principles of space combat while chasing technological perfection." In the weeks following the battle, both Earth and the Stellar Dominion had made changes. Human ships were still being built with modern technology, but now each one included mechanical backups and analog systems inspired by the Defiant. Meanwhile, Dominion vessels were being retrofitted with simple, reliable backup systems. "The Defiant didn't just win a battle," Miller added. "She taught both our peoples a valuable lesson. Technology should serve us, not make us dependent on it." Down in the station's engineering bay, Tom from the Defiant was teaching a mixed class of human and alien engineers. On the table in front of them lay two pieces of equipment, a highly advanced Dominion engine control module and a simple mechanical backup system. "See this?" Tom held up the mechanical system. "Can't be hacked, won't fail from power surges, and anyone with basic training can fix it with standard tools." The alien engineers nodded, taking notes on paper, another primitive practice they had come to appreciate. Their own technological disaster had taught them the value of having backups that didn't rely on complex systems. Back in the conference room, an admiral asked Rex, "What will the rest of the Dominion think about these changes?" "They already know," Rex replied. "The story of how an obsolete Earth ship defeated our most advanced fleet has spread throughout our empire. We're not just adding mechanical backups, we're rethinking our entire approach to technology." Miller smiled, remembering the battle. Sometimes the best solutions are the simplest ones. The Defiant won because she could keep fighting even when everything went wrong. That's a lesson worth learning. The conference room's old clock, an actual mechanical timepiece, ticked steadily as the meeting continued. Plans were made for joint training exercises, sharing of technology and counter-technology strategies, and the establishment of new guidelines for ship design. Later that day, Miller stood in the Defiant's bridge with a group of young officers, both human and alien, who had come to learn from the famous ship. "Remember," he told them, running his hand along the manual control panel, "fancy technology can fail you. But as long as you understand the basics, the physics, the mechanics, the fundamental principles of space and warfare, you'll never be truly helpless." A young alien officer raised her hand. "Is that why Earth kept ships like the Defiant in service? You knew this day might come." Miller shook his head. "We kept them because good ideas don't stop being good just because they're old. The Defiant isn't a museum piece. She's a reminder that sometimes the old ways are the best ways." As the sun set on another Earth Day, both humans and aliens had learned a vital lesson. True advancement didn't mean abandoning the past, but building upon its proven foundations. The U.S. Defiant's victory hadn't just saved human space, it had taught two civilizations the value of remembering their roots. The old ship sat proudly in her dock, her battle scars now badges of honor. She had shown the galaxy that being old didn't mean being obsolete. Sometimes it just meant being wiser.